Previously on Miss President.
So this is the Kibera informal settlement, which is the largest urban slum in Africa, with no drainage system. So the issues of sanitation is a problem here, where one toilet serving 400 people. 55% of the Kenyan population live in areas that are classified as informal settlements.
In light of the topic today and in comparison with the other presentations, we feel it was not good enough. You may have been the best in a previous episode, but if the next you are not the best, then that is the end.
Heal the world, make it a better place for you and for me and the anti-human race. The world, humanity, the globe, nations, international relations. International relations knowledge and skills in history, politics, analysis, research enable one to interpret and navigate global affairs through the intricate and often subversive layer of influences. With these skills, a person in a position of leadership can critically interpret the contemporary world and analyze the shifting complexities that dynamically occur in politics. To walk us through this delicate subject matter today is a trainer who is very knowledgeable in the subject, which brings me to the question I ask every week. Is Kenya ready for a female president? In today's episode, the contestants will engage in an interesting exercise, so keep watching to find out what this week's activity will be, as judges Zippy, Jerry, and Michael observe keenly. The competition is getting tougher, and the contestants are presenting as individuals, no more hiding within the comfort of a group, and as is the norm, eliminations are expected in every episode. To eliminate or not to eliminate? That's a question we ask and leave entirely to the judges' discretion. The result, we will never know until we all know.
Over 700 applications were received from all over Kenya, and from these, 350 contestants were shortlisted. After a series of auditions, over 50 women were selected, and they will now battle it out at the Academy for the coveted title of Miss President. In the race to be elected Miss President, we have the following contestants.
For the time I've been in the academy, it's quite an intense job, and I actually have some compassion for my president. It's not easy, yeah.
There's so much that's going on around the life of a president that now I'm coming to understand.
You still want to be the Miss President?
Yes, I still want to be the Miss President. At least now I'm enlightened.
Miss Sylvia Wakene Morioki is a lecturer in International Relations and Peace Studies, Department of Peace and International Studies, Daystar University. She is a trainer and a consultant with a keen interest in diplomacy, governance, gender, and conflict management. She is passionate about mentoring the next generation of leaders for transformational leadership.
We catch up from where we left off and on to our assignment later in the evening, where we were to look at the decision-making process with a special scenario on terrorism. So this assignment was given to us, looking for certain elements, and we are here to see whether we understand the decision-making process and the factors that presidents use whenever they are making decisions that pertains matters external of state. This in the purview of international relations.
And now, let us have a look at the key highlights from the topic of this week's episode.
My name is Dr. Zipi Okoth. I am a lecturer at KCA University, a gender consultant, an award-winning filmmaker, and founding director of the Lake International Pan-African Film Festival. I will be looking for someone who is informed, bold, visionary, and has a unique leadership predisposition.
Hi, my name is Jerry Kirene. I am a policy advisor and researcher and an advocate for women's advancement. I am looking for courage, determination, and excellence. I will be kind but firm, as I feel at the Academy there is no room for mediocrity.
My name is Michael Nyango. I am the founder and lead at the Agenda Center for Kenya's largest and most trusted social media platform, WhatsApp. The Forgotten Bottom Millions, 4BM, a social media enterprise currently reaching over 500,000 persons every week via WhatsApp and transforming the lives of thousands of Kenyans. I will be looking for audacious, bold, and daring leaders.
The tasks for today's assignment are as follows.
Many world leaders say that you do not negotiate with terrorists. I also subscribe to that. That is why for this assignment, I picked on a systematic approach to fighting terror, strengthening our systems, military diplomacy. I took a case scenario of Kenya. We've been facing trouble from Al-Shabaab. These are my prevention strategies. Strengthening Nyumba Kumi. How are we going to do that? Digitalization of community policing. We're going to invest in Department of Terror Research to understand current trends, because we realize as times change and technologies change, if you remember the Eled attack, terrorists are also changing and upgrading. So we have to keep up with them and beat them at their game while at this. We're also going to invest in a virtual 24-hour border monitoring, because we have a case scenario of Kenya and Somalia. Our border is about 618 kilometers long, some waters, some land. So I think if we invest in virtual satellites, we can monitor our borders from the comfort of our offices in Nairobi, at the headquarters in Nairobi, and have on-call officers monitoring who goes in and out of the country.
Every other sector in our society that we care about is undermined by security, whether it's food security, whether it's agriculture, whether it's even any other SDG, sustainable development goal that you're passionate about. So strategies to address threats to terrorism. We have access to information, which is very key. Police and intelligence assets. Engaging peace and religious groups. Like I said, how are we even engaging? Why aren't we having these discussions within chamas about security of this nation, given they are influential people in the community? Curbing corruption at the border.
Recently, you've seen Ukraine and Russia war that has affected our economy, including ourselves. The hike in food prices, the cost of living. So to save our economy, we really need to make smart decisions. We have strategic framework. Have 4 strategic framework. Number 1, to pursue, we have to investing in disrupting terrorism attack. We need to have a plan. We need to have a strategy. Why are this decision and why are they coming to the country? We have to do away with the information on social media. Sometimes we have a lot on social media that really attracts the terrorists. And remember, peace is each one's responsibility. We need to encourage Kenyans to know, for us to have a safe nation, we need to take responsibility.
What are the factors to consider before making any decision as a president? I'll give it the picture of political, economical, social, and cultural factors, because militias come from a particular community. Then the strategies will be short-term and long-term. And then finally, we look at our log framework and, of course, our budget. As a president, I'm very concerned, and that is why I need a dashboard. A president must be updated at every given point so that you are not reactive. You are able to follow up on the occurrences, because Kenya has to be protected at all costs. In peradventure diplomacy fails, then who knows? We will definitely defend by the defense forces that we have.
Are you safe? Because from the northern region of this country, I am never safe. Wearing the outfit that you see, I am never safe. And that's the narrative of every person from my community. And I'll tell you my story. When the Westgate attack was happening, I was around there. And a child came and said, "It's all your fault." Article 238 and Chapter 14 has already told me, as the national security, we need to focus on ensuring my territory is sovereign, it's protected. So those are the considerations. You've heard about Enroy's case. They were fighting for natural resources. Terrorism might be caused by natural resources. It might be caused by unemployment. It might be caused by vulnerable people who want to get married. Some of girls in our communities are told their husbands in Al-Shabaab. So the Usalama Watch strategies that I will be using. One, did you know that police are also involved in terror? So first I need to clean the police service. And then the last thing, I need to make sure I go home and use technology to collect data, but don't infringe on Article 31 on privacy. So I need to balance the two, but ensuring that we use technology to collect data and track where the terrorist attackers are moving to, but also use technology such as drone to surveil the areas that are always prone to terrorism. Usalama wa kishujaa, usalama wetu wajibu wetu.
I come from Kwale County. I have a story about how I've been able to try and assist an academic institution to access land so that they can build a security post to allow them to host students in their hostels, because the place is actually adjacent to a forest where insurgents and returnees from Somalia are coming to inhabit. And the day I went there to do the survey for the land, the following day, 3 men were beheaded because they thought that we were government officials and they were coming to talk to us about them. That was the worst point of my life. So what do I think we could do about this? My strategy was simple. We either prevent, we detect, we deny, or we respond to terrorism. How do we do this? By order of how much importance I give to each. Prevention, it means we have to engage with the communities. Let the communities be aware. Let the communities have their own strategies to come up with how they can be able to work with government to ensure that we are in a place where we've built resilience. We have ideologies that have changed. We can use diplomacy, public diplomacy in that case, for the communities. How do we detect? Make sure we always have information. You collect, you analyze, you disseminate, and stick to time.
I am Uchonko Kawera, and I grew up in a village in Tharaka Nithi County, and I never had gunshots before. Until I moved to Nairobi, I went to the University of Nairobi Chiromo campus, and on 15th of January 2019, we had gunshots. News and media quickly added to the sources that we have a new terror attack in Nairobi at the Dusit D2. And that's why I'm saying the time is now for us to end terror attacks. And then we have strategies that we need to put in place to address the threat of terrorism. That is what I'll do as a president. Secondly is enhance Kenya's infrastructure protection and community preparedness at the cost response to a profound injustice or indignity. At my lecture hall at the University of Nairobi, when I first heard that gunshot, there was a lot of confusion in that room. As a community, is our community prepared for attacks? When attacks happen here, do we have an emergency exit that we can actually run to? If we are at the 10th floor, how do we come down?
I am not a student of diplomacy, neither am I of international relations, but I have interacted with diplomacy from a practical level. At the University of Nairobi, when I was vice chair, I was elected to serve in the All Africa Students' Union as a secretary for gender and international relations. I was elected by over 30 student leaders from across the continent. I don't know why this panel of 4 experts feels like the toughest thing I have done in my youth. So today I'm presenting a roadmap to safeguarding our national interests in unprecedented times. And then so we were looking at a militia threatening Kenya. So factors to consider when addressing this problem. As a president, number 1, what is their motive? What are they looking for? What do they want? Number 2, I'd look at their capability. What is their threat? How far is it going into threatening my country? Then what is their support? Who is training them? Who is hosting them? And who is funding them? And then their history of attacks. Are they stealing girls? Are they stealing cattle? What is their tactic? My strategy would be to focus on 4 factors. Kenya's national interests. Number 1, working with interagency mechanisms. That includes the Kenya High Commission in that state. And then working with using the National Security Policy of 2013 that outlines the key interests of the country. And then I will intensify border surveillance across that region, north, east, west, or south. However, if all that doesn't work, my military, the Kenya Defense Forces, the sanctions will apply, and even a Cold War, because I cannot let my country be put under siege.
So, in my strategies, when an attack like this has happened, what am I going to do? First and foremost, I'm going to put into place diplomacy, and it's going to apply in various forms and all through. I could engage in a president-to-president talk with the neighboring country. I could engage through our various ministries and things like that. But at the same time, there are communities that are affected. I need to give them reprieve. I need to give them food. Are they displaced? I'm very quickly going to call a Security Council meeting and, of course, deploy police and probably have a curfew in place. What am I going to do? The first thing I will do is negotiation. I will not just wake up and attack back because international relations. The next thing, if diplomacy doesn't work, then I will put in place sanctions and boycotts, border closures, and such other things, face recognition and searches. And the last thing I will do, if everything else fails, if diplomacy fails, we go to war. I'm the president. I must protect the country.
Between 2011 and 2014, I was working with the youth in Kakamega County in a project called Yes, Youth Can. I came firsthand with the atrocities and the reasons why youth are normally involved in terrorism. The pull factors, the need for social standards, good life, good wives, and good husbands, the promises that come with it in the pull. And so with all these factors looking forward, the national capacity that we have, the relationship that we have with other countries, the ability for them to retaliate, that advised my decision going forward on how to counter terrorism. Number one, all counties should develop a strategy to address violent extremism. Also, faith-based organizations should be looked into to see what ideas we are rolling down. Community-centered approaches of taking good use of youth groups, women groups, and also the use of non-coercive measures to create dialogues. The Nyumba Kumi aspect, it is a big deal. Let's look at the Chiefs Baraza. Are we having dialogue so that we can understand where the gaps are? Public-private partnerships to help create jobs, to help food security. The push factors can be addressed through public-private partnerships, both locally and internationally.
Today I'm going to present to you a working paper titled A 5-Year Counter-terrorism Strategy, a model of the Federal Republic of Ouagadougou and Kenya. And we are saying, a stitch in time, everyone yarns matters. Now, the 5-year strategy to counter-terrorism in Kenya, the main goal will be to establish an effective, efficient, and responsive national system to terrorism. The two main objectives we'll have is to prevent individuals from engaging in terrorism and as well as detect these activities of terrorism in good time. We're also going to deny terrorists a means and opportunity to enter our country to conduct their terrorism activities. Now, these are our strategies, the immediate strategies, the low-lying fruits that are cheap to do. We are first going to conduct drone and aerial surveillance at the border. We are also going to increase the recce personnel at the border. We are going to augment supervision of the immigration personnel at the border who sometimes are corrupt. We are also going to do a state visit to the Federal Republic of Ouagadougou to discuss areas of mutual cooperation. We are also going to engage in trade agreements and exchange agreements with Ouagadougou. This is replicable to Embu because we are going to have a 24-hour hotline center. We are going to also have daily updates on border and county activities.
I remember a few years ago on my way home from Makerere University, I sat next to this gentleman in the bus, and he kept talking on the phone, switching it off and on. And I was very curious as to why he was doing that. And then he just shared with me that, all of us are not bad. That time he was talking about Al-Qaeda. He was in his way to Lebanon. And I was so shocked, I didn't know whether to believe him or not. And he told me, you can just find out about us on the internet and see what we actually do. I was very young at that point. I was still at the university, but that stuck with me. And that's why I want us to focus on the youth, because they are the foot soldiers for these terrorist groups. These militia groups promise them a brighter future. So everyone is trying to secure a brighter future for themselves. So as a government, we need to find a way to empower these people so that we can curtail the foot soldiers of these militia groups. How are we going to do this? There are various ways we can do this, but I want to focus on food systems. Why food systems? Because I have a company in Siaya. So through the food systems, you can actually create opportunities for everyone, where it's profitable along the entire value chain. Our case study is the Blossom Health Essentials. Why Blossom Health Essentials? They work with the cassava value chain. So they work with the youth in Siaya, they work with the farmers in Siaya, and they also we actually use solar energy to dry the cassava. We use rainwater for the production.
Now, let's talk about the policy, legislation, international instruments that govern and maintain, ensure that we maintain peace at a country level, regional level, and at an international level. And we have the Constitution. The Constitution, under the oath of the President, mandates him to ensure that he protects the country's sovereignty, integrity, and dignity. There's also the Prevention of Organized Crimes Act, which prevents and provides for the prevention and punishment of organized crime. There's also the Prevention of Terrorism Act, 2012. And this act provides measures for the detection and prevention of terrorist attacks, activities. And then there's a UN Charter. And Article 33 of the same provides that parties in dispute should first use peaceful means in addressing issues to do with international disputes. And then there's the factors to consider in decision-making. So there is a priority and adherence to law. Of course, you have to ensure that whatever measures you decide to take up, they have to be in adherence to the law and the international institutions, instruments that you have ratified. And then there's the gravity of the situation. So how far are we in this terrorist attack? How many people have we lost? How many people have can we estimate to have already gotten access to our country? And then these actors to involve. So if we need to address this, of course, we need to address it. So who are we going to involve? Which countries are we going to involve? Are we going to involve religious groups? Are we going to involve the international organizations? So who are going to be the actors that we're going to involve? And then there's the foreign policy to use. So are we going to go for the diplomacy way? Are we going to go for the economic policy way? Or are we going to go for the military?
We have the principle of territorial integrity. This is enshrined under Article 2.4 of the United Nations Charter. And when we come closer home, we have Article 238.1 of the Constitution of Kenya, which now enforces or gives us the right to protect our national or our territory from internal and external aggression. So what factors would I be considering as a president? We have the level of urgency. There's a risk posed to the citizens of Kenya. Are they able to go to work? Are they able to go to school? Are they able to enjoy the property that they have purchased? We have foreigners who are working in our embassies, regional and international organizations that have offices in Kenya. If a threat is posed to their life, how does that affect our relationship with the different countries that they come from? Then lastly, we have greatly invested as Kenyan in positioning ourselves as an investment destination. We have sunk a lot of money through debt into the expressway, into the SGR. What happens if a terrorism attack impacts those projects? What happens to us? Then the other thing we need to consider is the likelihood of being considered an aggressor. Fine, we have a militia group coming to attack Kenya, but are we sure that this militia group is acting on its own, or if it has been sent by the neighboring country? So if we launch an attack on the neighboring country without first establishing that, the UN General Assembly Resolution number 3314 states that the first person to launch an attack is termed the aggressor, which would also put our diplomatic relations at risk. So from the list from Article 33.1, I said no to arbitration because it's very costly and it takes a lot of time, and also no to conciliation because conciliation can appeal to moderate terrorists, but it will really not have any impact on extreme terrorists or extremist terrorists. So the strategy framework, we would start with negotiation. What negotiation does is that it opens a channel of communication. As that channel of communication is open, our intelligence agencies would be on a fact-finding mission to establish this militia group. Have they been sent by this state or are they acting on their own? Once we've established that they're acting on their own, we can talk about mediation. If they have been sent by the state, we can also try to have a conversation with that state. If all fails, we can leverage on our relationships with, say, allies in the African Union, which would lead to them either pushing for an amicable solution or applying political pressure for that country to withdraw or for the militia to withdraw. But we also remember we had, that is costly because we had, shuttle diplomacy with Kalonzo. That cost us 267 million shillings. So we also need to look at the cost of that. Then there's judicial settlement. Say we have identified a terrorist as Kenya, and we want that person prosecuted. We can push for cooperation so that that state either prosecutes that person or we have them extradited, and then they are also prosecuted here.
For the assignment, the contestants will be judged on their understanding of the task, time management and presentation, creativity and innovation of the solutions provided, and lastly, leadership and group dynamics.
I have slips over here with me. I'm going to give each of you one of these. After you put your name, you nominate someone to remain at the academy and give a reason why. And number 2, this is a person that, of course, you think that maybe perhaps, they can go, they can stay, it really doesn't matter to you, and the reason why. But number 1 is very, very important. The person that you wish to remain at the academy and the reason why.
Let us have a moment of reflection with the judges.
And we are joined here by the trainer, Sylvia Murioki, who specializes in international relations.
I have trained the students, these contestants, and they have done extremely well. The assignments were well done. However, there are a few things that has come out from their presentations on understanding how decision-making processes happen for a president.
I think the key word here was diplomacy. Yes. And in your opinion, did that come across as something that was that they actually understood and were working towards?
We stretch them every week, and I think this week we really did stretch them. And in my honest opinion, I think just a slight number really got the assignment right and got where we need to be. So, I must say that it's actually much easier today to decide on who goes as opposed to from before.
That is very diplomatic of you. Judge Zippy, in your opinion, did they grasp the issue of protocol? Did that come through?
It came through in some, but to others, I think they went off track. We had people who were just looking at issues like, how can I solve this as a president? But they were not looking at the procedure, because the question was very clear, chronological sequence on how you will solve this issue of militia threats. If you're talking about protocol, I think only, is it 2 people who talked about like they will work with their cabinet. They will work with the other leaders from the neighboring countries. And that one is protocol.
But at least the exercise taught them that they're actually what's called rules of engagement, even in war. You don't just wake up and just start a war. There's procedures that you go through before you get to that stage.
Exactly, yes. That was very clear in some of them, but we had 3 contestants who just told us that their last resort will be war. And they said clearly, I have to defend my people. And, and I thought that I was like, oh, really? That's not really the last resort. It is never, war is never the last resort.
Exactly.
But besides that, let's talk about the topic, which is, we're talking about terrorism.
Yes.
Listening to them, some of the contestants are speaking as victims who have been profiled because of, the fact that we do have terrorists in this country.
Yes.
And others were talking about it from a very frivolous manner also in a way, because you can't talk about, no, you can't enter the mall and they have to check your handbag. It's not that simple. Terrorism has changed the fabric of our society. There are many things that needed to be discussed. I didn't feel the humanity in their discussions, and I think that is what was lacking. And when we get back to talk to them, it's something I think we need to point out.
Hello, ladies. It's another beautiful day because we're getting closer to our search for the ultimate Miss President. And today you had a very lovely topic on international relations, and we had our trainer, Miss Sylvia Murioki. I'll give her a chance to give her comments on your presentations. So welcome, Miss Sylvia.
Thank you so much. First, I want to commend all of you for a job well done. However, there are a few observations that we need to make. You also have to understand that you must always have an introduction, even when it comes to international relations. So is the image, which is very critical. And it is actually a part of power that comes to a state for doing such. Last but not least, international environments are very unpredictable, and there are surprises there, and I guess that is what this evening is all about.
So next, we will have Judge Michael to give us his comments on some of the contestants.
Ladies, good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm going to start off first and foremost with Miss Kisumu County. So Esperanza, I like the fact that you recognize that we do have a 608-kilometer long border that is porous, and with that challenge in mind, you also actually thought through and came up with your own solution on how we could deal with this. And the whole idea about using a virtual satellite shows that you've actually thought through some of the most cost-effective ways of applying technology to the challenges that we may have at the border. So congratulations, and that was something that you tried and did well on. Mrs. Isiolo County, there's only one remaining. So great start. Are you safe? You know, the moment she just said those words, are you safe? Immediately, it was a great opening statement and caught, at least it caught our attention. And then she personalized it by using her community. In as much as a lot of times your community feels that you're actually stigmatized and you're singled out, I think this finally gave you an opportunity to be able to showcase the things that you've personally experienced, and you brought that through very well. The only thing you forgot to say is that I want to introduce my strategy, which is this. So that's just a pointer that you need to remember on that. Bina Maseno, I really liked when you spoke about 400 lives lost in Nairobi, and you spoke about the 4.2 billion in our economy. However, one of the things that you forgot, which we had said before, whenever we talk about stats, let us be able to qualify where we've gotten them from. Your PowerPoint, again, please, everyone, don't make your Word document into a PowerPoint. Synthesize the whole statement and let it come down to maybe 4 or 5 words at most. Ashura, you said we need to do away with social media. Social media is possibly the most effective, the most cost-effective way in which not only governments, but a lot of people are able to reach others. So I do not know whether you didn't have enough time or whether we misheard or misread what you said, but that came out as a really glaring statement that just got us all lost there. Oh, please, and this is to everybody, not just Ashura, can we stop just saying about app? Say specifically what the technological gain of what it is that you want to do with that aspect of that particular gadget or that particular forum is going to do with respect to the project that you have been given. Okay, and finally, Messiah counted this too, so I'm going to refer to Pauline Onguko. So your thing stood up very well in that you did go through what it is that the assignment had asked for. You could have strengthened it further by having some data and some figures. Like I remember, I always say this, you are a president, so who are you speaking to? Are you speaking to your cabinet? Are you speaking to parliament? What is it that you want them to know? What are you referencing? Where is it that you want to go with the elements that you're saying? Again, coming back to you specifically from your presentation, which applies to everybody here, don't mention the word dashboards. How many Kenyans understand what a dashboard is? So let us connect with our audiences and our varying stakeholders. Of course, so if you use a term like that, please be a bit more explicit and let us understand it. Thank you very much, Judge Zipi.
And now, so I'd like to invite Judge Njeri.
Thank you, Judge Zippy. Good evening, ladies. Okay, so now I'm going to come to specific people. Nur Mohammed, I must say I enjoyed your presentation because you really did manage to contextualize it. You've been speaking very passionately about Kwale, but today you brought us a picture of what Kwale looks like. What I liked also about your presentation was the fact that you had identified the issues that contribute to terrorism. And you informed us something about Kwale, which was quite interesting. The fact that you share a border with Tanzania. We don't see it that way. You also showed us a very good understanding of the issues in Kwale. You really gave us some good context. And you mentioned something that I thought was very crucial also in winning the battle against terrorists, building resilience. I think that was super commendable. Kawira. One of the things that came out for me very clearly with you is you didn't bother to give us all these conventions. You said, let me just go straight to the point, and which is what I liked because you just brought it out. You said, I've never had gunshots until I came to Nairobi. So you really captured my attention on that. Also, your presentation was quite neat and very clear. Okay, Angel Boothia. So your presentation was also clean, your slides were clean. But there are a couple of things. I struggled a bit because you gave us a very long-winded introduction about your past and how we love your achievements. But this was not what this assignment was about. Okay? Then you said one thing here that took us by surprise. You cannot be so overt and say, we are going to start, I'll deepen, let me just use your words, deepen a propaganda war. If you say the wrong thing, you rub people the wrong way, and it can cost you your political career. Okay, Milka, you carry yourself well during your presentations, you're very articulate, and we see that you're able to master your subject. But today you are shallow. So I was missing the point because you were sort of like rushing through things. One of the things we commend you for is that you used references. Nobody else used references. You did, so you took our advice seriously. But generally, what we felt from your presentation was you just touched and go. We needed a bit more in-depth explanation. Okay, and now the last one from my plate is Lydia Monica. Lydia, you also did well. The one thing you talked about is private-public partnerships to improve economies. Now, if you look at our private-public partnership policy, it doesn't work for the kind of thing you're saying here. So that policy is for really large infrastructural projects. So what you're trying to say is the partnerships between the private sector and the public, and I know you're saying the public, you're talking about 190. Is that what you mean? Yeah, so you'll find another way of explaining this.
Thank you very much, Jerry. And now to the next few. I'll start with Annabelle Njoki. Annabelle, your work was very beautiful, very diplomatic. However, yes, you are dealing with militia at a very high level. What about on the ground? When they give us threats, what exactly do you need to do? Are you going to have boardroom meetings after boardroom meeting with the local, then international? What about on the ground? So we need to hear what exactly is happening on the ground from your work. Pascaline Zhao, you had very good insights. You talked either, is it too slowly or you got too distracted in the other issues that you didn't have enough time to talk about the framework and the strategies on addressing these? Because you had very good points here, but as long as we did not hear it. Next, we have Juliet Odwor. Juliet, we understand very well that we said you need to read about food systems. However, as much as we also say that you need to bring yourself and personalize issues when you're doing your assignments, we felt that you over-personalized. Today, the topic was about the militia threat. Frida Karani, you had a very good case study. On your second question, you had your solutions. These daily, weekly media briefs, can you let us remember that the militia are also listening, okay? That message is not only biased to your citizens. Can you give us more information on how you're going to do that strategy? Because this question was also about strategy. It's not just about giving us issues. Now, to the part we have all been waiting for. If I call your name, kindly come forward. Pauline Oguko, Annabelle Njoki, Pascaline Zhao. Annabelle, a lot of times we have called you here in front and it's always for the same reason. You're very intelligent. We can get that. But leadership has got more wisdom than intelligence. And wisdom is all about how you communicate to the people. If you do not take time to contextualize and analyze your audience so that you break down information to them, they will never get you right. Pauline Angoko. Now you are the opposite of Annabelle. You have the language of people. In fact, if you stood to speak to people, they would easily say, Pauline understands us. But sometimes leadership needs you to not just speak to the people, but they want to believe that when you go to that house of power, are you able to put their work in such a way that all their needs will be understood at that level? So you also need now to put your language in that diplomatic level and balance it. Pascaline Zhao, your work was very beautiful in here today. However, time is a very big constraint. Now that is where you are. You're telling us about these beautiful policies, but you're not having time to tell us about these beautiful solutions that you have. So always go straight to the point so that in case they are tired of listening, you have given your point. So ladies, some people have to go home, some people have to stay. Pauline Onguko, we will give you a chance to stay in the country. You can have a seat. Anna Belenjoki, I hope if we give you another chance, the 1% can shoot up to 30%.
I will give it my best. We could go for 40 as opposed to 30.
Great. We will give you another chance in the academy. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Pascaline, I would have loved to give you another chance, but because of that reason, we will allow you to go home.
Okay, thank you so much. Honestly speaking, it is a contest, but I feel like it was more than just a contest. We've really grown. And to my contestants also, keep going. They are like a great team, and I believe that even after Miss President, you're going out there to change the country and of course change the world. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call the following to come forward. Kawira Muchungu, Juliet Odwor, Nuru Mohammed. So ladies, the three of you gave testimonial examples in your presentations, and we must say that was beautiful. Nuru Mohammed, you gave us a very insightful view of Kwale County. We were able to see the real picture of Kwale County, and your testimonial of going to the university to advise them on counter-terrorism, then the following day it's bombed. I think that was a very beautiful way to start your presentation. Kawira Muchungu, yes, on the opposite way, you said you had never experienced it until you came to Nairobi. We thank God your place is very peaceful. And Juliet Odwor, you gave us your points in terms of blossoms, giving us that context, but then you went off track, that by the time we were hoping that you're going to give us a solution in terms of these threats as it is, I don't know whether time was up or you just didn't have those points as it is. On that note, Juliet Odwor, because we felt that you understood the question slightly different from what the trainer gave, we will let you go home.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's been a great learning experience. And as Brené Brown says, dare greatly, and I'm glad I dared greatly. All the best to the remaining contestants.
So ladies, following the assignment that was given, the two contestants who understood the assignment are the following. Pauline Onguko. Pauline, you understood that 5 minutes is only enough to briefly state the problem and to expound on the solution. And you did that very well. So on that point, congratulations. Anna Belenjoki, your presentation was very good. Today, you had a beautiful PowerPoint. Yeah, your work followed what the teacher said in chronological sequence. And on that note, congratulations. So ladies and gentlemen, power is not given, power is taken. If you are intelligent enough, if you have the wit, and if you have the wisdom, then you will be here with us to witness the next Miss President. Thank you.
I have to take this opportunity just to say thank you so much to my family for giving me the opportunity, to my husband, yes, for giving me the opportunity, to just be here as he takes care of the children. Finally, I am going back to reunite with them, and I just can't wait to just reconnect and just spend time with them.
I run a business, Blossom Health Essentials, in Siaya County, where we work with smallholder farmers who are in the cassava value chain, and we process the flour and make it into products that can make pancake, chapati, cakes, especially for people who cannot consume wheat, and also those who are health conscious. So I'm just going back to run that.
As this group of women continues on the dong and grilling journey that will demand their very best, we can only cheer and urge them to put their best foot forward. Thoughts, opinions, compliments, suggestions, tweet us on @media_focus. Find us on Facebook at MFA Media Focus on Africa, and check us out on Instagram at Media Focus on Africa. This show will be uploaded to YouTube. To view this episode and other episodes, including the full training session, kindly click on the link provided to access the Miss President YouTube channel, and remember to click, like, and subscribe to the only show where you never really know until you know.